All right. All right, we're live. So, got a couple good questions. A lot of the questions I've got to actually, people ask me personal questions about their blood pressure, stuff like that. Those are usually best as calls because I don't know your history. But we got a couple good ones. So, one of them was Dave Asprey thinks he's going to live to be 180. How old do I think I'm going to get to? First of all, I love Dave. He's a great guy. One of the things I actually like about Mr. Asbury is he was a vegan for a long time, and he came out and he was like, "Look, that was wrong. That's not how you should do it. Don't be vegan. It's bad for you." Which I thought was tremendous because not everybody is going to make everything work properly, and so they're going to do more research. They're going to figure more things out, and they're going to go back and do things differently. So I think that's for him to come out and say I was wrong and this. Great respect for the guy. Um, I don't care about how long I live. I care about the quality of my life. I've said this for a long time. I would rather die at 75, falling off a mountain I'm climbing, than die at 85, spending the last 5 years drooling on myself, drooling on my pillow in a nursing home. The quality of my life is what matters more than the quantity of it. As long as my quality is high, I'll take as long as I can get. But and that kind of goes back to people ask me like, well, do you think we should stop drinking coffee because of the caffeine? And I read caffeine's bad. And I'm like, well, no, not necessarily. Like, how much do you love coffee? Like, I think coffee's delicious. I think it adds to the quality of life. I think a lot of the problems that are associated with uh, stuff like, the caffeine stuff is overblown. Yeah, if you have a metabolically dysfunctional body, then you're going to have a whole lot of problems with a whole lot of things. Your body's not going to be able to tolerate or function properly with a lot of stuff. So, you know, but coffee adds a lot of quality of life, man. So I think you should buffer everything else and get through it. I don't know how long I'm going to live. Yeah, I don't know. But the joke with my wife is that I get to die first because I don't want to. I don't want to be 90 without her. So that's an inside joke. So I have no idea how long I live. And like I said, I don't really care as long as the quality of my life is high. Um, the other one is, I've said so long I don't want to work on weight loss. Why are we doing such a big thing on weight loss? I'm actually not doing it on weight loss. I still don't care about weight. Weight is the very worst way you should ever measure your health. I tell all of my patients they have to throw away their scale unless we have a conflict, like they're a wrestler or they're a bodybuilder, there's something where they have to meet a specific weight for their sport. You shouldn't be using a scale. Like I said, it is quite possibly the very worst way to determine any health function. So don't worry about that. Uh, the the reason that we're spending so much time on things that cause fat loss is because metabolic health is hypercritical to everything else I do. Um, so if we want to work on your MS, if we want to work on your dementia, if we want to work on your celiac, your Lyme's, your fibromyalgia, or whatever, we've got to fix your metabolic health first. And that's a really, really, really big part of everything that we do. So when we start looking at things like fat loss or metabolic function or, moving in and out of, ketosis or glucose fed state or any of that type of stuff, that's the big piece. That's really why we're trying to figure out, how to fix your metabolic state. The other fun thing is a lot of the things I work on go away if we fix your metabolic function. So, like for instance, like all the stuff I'm doing, like you can see visually the fat that's leaving my body. My weight's still 235. I was actually talking to Kukla about this yesterday. I was looking at the weight classes and I was like, I don't know if I'm going to be able to get down there. I don't know if I'm going to be able to get to 217. I can probably lose 10 pounds in water weight in a day and a half or so, but I don't know if I can get to 217. So we'll see. Because if you lose a pound of fat and you gain a pound of muscle, your scale has changed nothing, but your metabolic health is usually better. And then there's a lot of guys out there who are losing, lots of weight. Like you look at Ozempic, those guys are losing tons of weight, but they're massively screwing up their metabolic function because 30 to 50% of the weight that those guys typically lose is muscle. Muscle houses all your mitochondria function. It houses a lot of your DNA function. It houses a ton of stuff that you really need for metabolic function. So, losing weight in that manner is damaging your long-term health. So I'm not a big fan of losing weight. I'm a big fan of losing fat. Remember, fat produces its own hormones. It changes the estrogen function of the body. It changes the leptin and ghrelin functionality. It changes a lot of things. So it makes your body more and more and more metabolically dysfunctional. People who accumulate a lot of fat, also because they're breaking their system, they're stressing their sugar system so hard, they end up with type 2 diabetes. Type 2 diabetes in general is a metabolic dysfunctional problem. So the fact that Western medicine chooses not to fix it shows you that they either don't understand metabolic function or don't care about metabolic function. And I would tell you that they don't care about fixing metabolic function because that leads to lots of diseases that they get to manage and treat and make a bunch of money off of. And the goal of Western medicine is not to make you healthier. It's to manage your diseases and figure out a way to charge you on a daily basis for what you're doing. So, that's kind of the big difference with that one. So at the end of the day, that's really kind of where a lot of this stuff comes from. It's, are we making the body healthier or not? So when we talk about fat loss, it's because we're using fat as the primary fuel source. And then as your body's using that as the primary fuel source, it starts kind of melting away. But the Dave question and this question kind of go to the same general function of what it is that I actually do. I make the body much, much healthier than it was. So everybody kind of comes in and starts in the same place. We got to figure out where you are today, and we got to figure out where you want to go. Those are 2 points in the line I have to have. If you're like, this is where I want to go, but I have no idea where you're starting, we have no idea how to get from point A to point B. We have no idea where point A is, and we have no idea where point B is. And so most of the time, it's really easy to find out where you are. Right? So you do the blood test, we do the calcium CT, the echocardiogram, the sleep study, with the QRA testing. We figure out where everything is. And then once I kind of figure out where it all is, I'm like, here's all the things we're going to fix regardless. But then I sit down and go, what are your goals? Do you want to get on stage? Do you want to, what do you consider healthy? Because everybody comes in and says, I want to be healthier. I'm like, fantastic. I want you to be healthier too. What does that mean to you? And people go, well, I don't know. This is a big scale. So, that we usually spend a lot of time when people come in and they start going through the process. That's one of the things we start on from as we're trying to figure out where they are. I'm trying to help them figure out where they want to go. Not everybody wants to go on stage, and you shouldn't. Not everybody wants to be at 5 to 7% body fat. You shouldn't be. You shouldn't be 25 if you're a guy. So, we try to figure out where you want to be. How hard do you want to work? The maintenance is always easier than the activation. So when I get to the point where I'm 5 to 7% body fat, which is where I want to stay, it'll be easier to maintain that than it will be to get to it. So that's kind of the piece. So we have a treatment plan of getting us from where we are to where we want to go, and then we have a maintenance thing of keeping us where we want to be. Oftentimes, what happens with patients I work with is they set goals. And when we get about 80% of the way to those goals, they go, you know what? I want to move my goals from here to here. And that's always what happens. And not always, but the vast majority of the time, that's what happens. It's what happened with me. That's when people go, I want to do what you do. And I'm like, no, you don't. Like, you're not there yet. don't set your goal 1,000 miles away from where you are today. Smaller goals, smaller steps. And that just makes sense. Because, I've said this lots of times, but if you give somebody $5 and they give you 10 back, then you give them 20, and they give you 50 back. You give them 100, and they give you 1,000 back. You're going to give them all of your money because you're like, look, your return on investment is super duper high. I want you to do this with everything. And that's kind of how life works in general. So what ends up happening is, people will feel terrible. I just want a little bit more energy, maybe lose 5 pounds. All right. And then that's an easy thing to do. So we get them there and they go, well, now I want to start working out. All right. Well, now I want to start taking the supplements to work out because I'm seeing gains. I just want to see more. And then it's what supplements will help. And then, hey, I'm going to go ahead and get that CPAP you talked about because I want my sleep to get better. And then all of a sudden, 2 years down the road, they look tremendously different. They feel tremendously better. And they're doing a whole lot of stuff. And had you told them day one, here's what I want you to do, they would have been like, whoa, no, that's too many pills. That's too expensive. That's too much of a change in my lifestyle. Like, I won't do that. That's too much. But if they slowly add this in at their own speed, then they end up getting in a really good place. The thing is, we have to figure out what are your goals, what's important to you today, and so that's the biggest thing. So, if I was going to have you guys do something, it would be work on your metabolic health, but figure out, number one, what are your goals? What do you want? What do you really want out of your body, out of your health, out of life, out of that whole thing? Like, figure that out. And then once you can kind of figure that out, man, once we have a point where we're aiming for, then we can figure out how we're going to get there. I can figure out 10 different ways to get there. The hardest part is when people go, I want to be healthier. And I go, great. What does that mean to you? And they go, I don't know. That neither one of us know how to get there. So we can start doing like fixing things, obvious things. But, a lot of times we'll go, look, my dad had dementia. My dad had Alzheimer's. My dad had a heart attack, or my mom or my grandma or whatever. Like, I don't want to do that. Okay, that's easy. Prevention's not that hard of a deal. We can figure out where you are today. And then we can be like, here are the things that you want to do that'll increase your chances of putting that thing off, of not having that heart attack, not having that stroke. We're learning more about the vaccines. If you guys had the COVID vaccine and you're unhappy about it, as most of you should be, we can start pushing back on that. The problem is that a lot of the stuff is anecdotal at the moment because we haven't been like, oh, over 10 years with 10,000 people, this is the research we have. But I hate to tell you this, I don't think a lot of you guys are going to last 10 years. Sorry if you didn't think that, if you thought you guys were totally fine. I think we've already seen lots and lots and lots of problems from it. Like, I don't know if people know this, but the vast majority of the people in the other side of my family who chose to get the vaccine all have cancer. They did not have cancer before they took the shot, and one of them has died from brain cancer, and the rest of them all have cancer. They did not have cancer beforehand. That's 5 guys. That's the thing. So if you've had the vaccine and you have not gotten checked, you have not gone through basically the executive physical type of thing with whoever you're doing it with, y'all need to start getting checked because it's not looking good for lots of you. But that's good. If you guys have any questions, throw them at questions@chalmerswellness.com and or hit them in the comments and we'll go through them. But you guys have a nice time and thanks for your time. And I'll try to fix this fuzzy camera next time.